Let's now give you some updates in terms of what is happening in the Israel-Gaza war. The pressure continues to grow on the state of Israel to stop its bruising ground offensive on Rafah and also to allow the much-needed humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian authorities say that the death toll in the besieged Gaza Strip is almost 32,000 because of the Israeli offensive. At a time like this, when there is urgent need for humanitarian aid in the Gaza Strip, the United States, interestingly, still continues to send weapons to Israel. In the latest, the American Secretary of State Anthony Blinken arrived in Cairo for talks with the Arab officials to push for a ceasefire in Gaza and also to release the hostages. He met with the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah El-Sissi and the Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry. Blinken said that the United States had drafted a resolution at the United Nations to that effect. Now, Israel says it will go ahead with a ground offensive in Rafah, which it deems as necessary to eliminate Hamas. The decision has created some kind of a rift between the United States and the Netanyahu government. So apart from agreeing to send a delegation of intelligence and military officials to Washington to hear a different approach.
Well, you know, we've been very clear, President Biden's been very clear that we cannot support a major ground operation, military operation in Rafah. There are, as you know, 1.4 million or so civilians in Rafah, many of them displaced from other parts of Gaza. There's no effective way of getting them out of the way into safety, and even the people that would remain in Rafah would be in terrible jeopardy.
Now, the big question, of course, continues to remain. So even though Israel has relied mostly on the American arms and technology, can there be legal consequences for the United States under the international law for having armed Israel in this horrific violence that's been unleashed on the Palestinian people? Many countries at this moment have suspended their arms exports to Israel in the wake of the war in Gaza. However, the United States remains almost undeterred, and it remains the biggest contributor of Israeli arsenal. The America's annual contribution of almost about $3.8 billion to Israel's military budget has continued since the onset of the war on the 7th of October. But according to the Stockholm Institute for Peace, the United States provides nearly about 69% of Israeli arms imports. The US military, interestingly, also stores a lot of its weapons on the ground within the territory of the State of Israel, presumably for the use by the US Army itself in case that is needed. However, what is interesting to note is that the United States has allowed the State of Israel to make use of its arsenal that it has within the Israeli territory for the Gaza war. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.